actually going to do most of the talking today, which is quite a joy. Okay, so welcome to our class graduation celebration. Let me begin by saying that it has been an absolute privilege and joy to work with your children this year. As a first-year teacher, I've heard so many horror stories. Teachers who lose interest in their work because students are unmotivated, unkind, and disrespectful. And I would be lying to all of you if I said that I wasn't worried about my first year. But, to be perfectly honest, I cannot imagine a better first year than the one I had with your children. I was invigorated and challenged in the best possible way. In this class, we are fortunate enough to have inquisitive scientists, creative writers, exceptional readers, talented musicians and artists, gifted athletes, but most importantly, kind friends. Definitely. And for the past few weeks, the 5th grade team has challenged all graduating 5th graders to think about someone who inspires them. Now, our focus was on individuals who not only show exceptional talent in their field, whether it be sports, science, etc., but who are also exceptional human beings and citizens. These individuals became our role models, our heroes, the people who inspire us to be better and to do more with our lives. So today, each student in the 20 in our class is going to come up here and present on their role model, their hero. Every student has worked so hard, and we are all excited to share with you. All right, so I think we're going to begin. The first student who's going to come up and share is Miss Ansley Burns.
Unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not live at all, in which case you have failed by default, J.K. Rowling had once said. This shows that she never gives up and is a creative person just like me. I showed that I was creative once because I went up to my sister and I asked her if she wanted to make a secret language with me. She was all in for it. So we made it in one day by using words like caca and tula, yes and no. This shows that I'm creative. J.K. Rowling is also creative because she made the whole Harry Potter series just by telling bedtime stories to her child. This shows that she is very creative. I am ambitious too because when I saw that my sister Emily was better than me in piano, I made a goal to try to practice every day so I can get as good as her when I'm her age. This shows that I'm ambitious. I know that if I keep on doing what I'm doing, I will get far in life. Just like how J.K. Rowling did.
Alright, so I don't think I need a microphone since I literally talk to all these kids every day. And sometimes at recess duty, I have to be screaming. So just raise your hand if you can't hear me. So this year, I have the privilege of doing a number of different awards for our students. The first is our 5th grade graduation theme, which is called Unlocking the Potential. So every student here in their time at Center School has been given tools, strategies, even friends, relationships that are going to help them unlock the potential on their futures. So I would love to present Ms. Ainsley Yorns with a key as a reminder that you have everything you need to unlock your full potential, whether it's in middle school, high school, college, graduate school, and beyond. And I would also like to award Ainsley. So every week, my students have to write me a reading letter. And for some of them, this is really fun and exciting. And for some of them, it is, quite honestly, a pain. But I'm going to tell you, every week, it was an absolute pleasure to read Ainsley's letters. Because not only was she engaging me by answering my questions, she would actually have conversations with me asking about my reading life. And so I am awarding Ainsley with a J.K. Rowling Award for engaging readers with writing.
speech. If you already know him, you'll know that Gandhi was peaceful, brave, and friendly. He once said, "An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind." This shows that he is peaceful. Gandhi did not fight with violence. He was a peacemaker. Gandhi is brave. Gandhi was brave because he stood up to others even if those people threatened his life. He fought peacefully, but it takes a great deal of bravery. I am brave because one time when I was climbing this very, very tall tree in my backyard, there was this spot where there was no branches, just like 10 feet up trunk, but I kept on climbing. Gandhi is friendly because he stood up for others, not just himself. I am friendly because I always find a good time no matter what. One time all the balls for recess were in the big hole next to the school, and there was a fence surrounding it so we couldn't just go get them. I called out, "Man, in the game," and all the kids came to play. You know what I think? I think it's time that everybody should be a little bit more peaceful, brave, and friendly.
From Charlie's story about being brave, that he loves the outdoors. Would you agree, Charlie? Not only does he love the outdoors, he has an adventurous and curious spirit that's seen not only in his adventures at home, but in his conversations in the classroom, and his enthusiasm for our adventure books that we read together this year. So I am happy and honored to award Charlie the Lewis and Clark Award for Discovery and Natural
When I think of a role model, I think of Taylor Swift. She once said, "People haven't always been there for me, but music has." This shows that she was grateful for music. I am also grateful for music. When I was little, my dad used to turn on the TV to a random music channel, and I would dance and sing along. My brother was looking at me like I was crazy. I knew that when I started dancing and singing, that music would always be a part of my life. Taylor Swift is charitable. In 2008, she donated the proceeds from her merchandise sales at the CMFs to the Red Cross's Disaster Relief Fund. I am charitable too. Every year, the library has a summer reading program. For every hour you read, you get a ticket. I gave more than half my tickets to the Heifer Project bid, instead of getting what I would have personally wanted. They give animals to people who need money to survive. Next year I will be going to the middle school. I know that it will be hard, but when things get difficult, I will try to be like Taylor Swift, grateful and charitable.
All right. And, Shelby, stay. All right, so as you can probably tell by the way Shelby presented herself today, she has an amazing public speaking presence. She carries herself so confidently. She has a beautiful speaking voice, reading voice with her kindergarten buddies. She's got the whole package when it comes to sharing out loud. And it's been an absolute joy to have you. So I am awarding her the Katie Couric Award for Excellence in Public Speaking.
Disneyland will never be completed as long as there is imagination left in the world. This quote shows Walt Disney's inner person. Here are some traits to show it. Walt Disney is a hard-working man. He met all of his challenges. When he was young, he sold his paintings to help him and his family. I am ambitious because I am a pitcher in baseball, and this year and every year I've been playing, I go outside and pitch to my dad. I pitch to him 4 days a week for an hour each day, and my work paid off. I am also determined because I was determined to have a good year this year, because it was my last year at center school. Miss Manna said that our Worldly West tests were going down, so I was determined to get a good grade. And I studied and studied, and my work paid off. When I graduate from college, I want to go into the MLB draft and get drafted by any team. I don't care what team I get drafted by, it only matters if I play. I will always follow my dreams like Walt Disney.
Sean's favorite after-school activity. So Sean is hands down an athlete, through and through, baseball player, through and through. And there's only one other baseball player I can think of currently playing who I can say the same thing about. So Sean, I am happy to award you the Dustin Pedroia Award for Teamwork, because not only is he a phenomenal baseball player like Dustin Pedroia, but when you think of Dustin Pedroia, I'm sorry for any Yankees fans, I'm just going to go on and on with this one. He has such a shining spirit. He loves his team, he loves the game, and when Sean works in a group, or even at recess, everything he does, he comes with a positive attitude, and he always does his best to make things work. And so I think this is just the best award I could possibly give you. Man, we are flying today. I think we're going to be the first ones to All right. All right, next up is Miss Bridget Duquette.
What does it mean to be ambitious? I know a quote by Michael Phelps that pretty much sums it up. I have my goals somewhere I can see them, so when I get out of bed, I know I'm waking up to work on what I'm trying to achieve. Michael Phelps is ambitious. As some of you may know, he went into retirement after the 2012 Summer Olympics. In mid-April this year, he soon came out of retirement saying retirement is boring and he's pushing himself to get back in the pool and maybe compete in the Rio Games 2016, but I can make no promises. I'm ambitious. After a swimming or a soccer game, my coach would ask me how I think I did on a scale from 1 to 10. I never say 10 because I always knew I could do better. We all know Michael Phelps is passionate about swimming. I'm also passionate about swimming. During February break this year, I had 2 championship swim meets and we were supposed to go to my grandma's house, but I had to stay behind because I am committed to my team, and I'm very passionate about the sport. I want to be like Michael Phelps when I grow up, which means I have big shoes to fill. I know what my goals are, and I know where I'm going in life. I'm ambitious, passionate, and committed. That's just who I am.
Bridget certainly is determined. Sometimes when she misses work, she works and works and works to make it up for me. She sets very clear and high goals for herself. Not only that, but she's a phenomenal friend. Wouldn't you agree? Bridget is a really good friend if you are privileged enough to be part of her life. And so I had to think of something that kind of reflected both of those qualities. So Bridget, I'm awarding you the Mia Hamm Award for Sportsmanship, which reflects not only how you are on a team, but how you are with your friends, and determination. All right, our next speaker is going to be Jill. Joey to the front. And while we admire Joey's poster, I do just want to let you know there is now like a small row of chairs that open up in the front. If there's anyone, if you feel so moved, we have 4 just in case.
With great power comes great responsibility. You've probably heard that before, but do you know who wrote it? Stan Lee. Stan Lee created Marvel Studios. He has created the most successful comic book superheroes such as Spider-Man, Captain America, and the Hulk. I am creative too, like Stan Lee. I make comic superheroes and I think I'm pretty good at it, if I say so myself. I created the Defenders, Space Police, and stuff like that. I am also talented, like Stan Lee. I am a very talented Lego builder. I created a 2-level Lego model of New York City from the movie The Amazing Spider-Man, which Stan Lee was in. The top level was just New York City, and the bottom level was the villain's lair. It shows that Stan Lee and I are both talented. I hope that someday I am a comic creator that is as creative and talented as Stan Lee. I might even be as successful as him. So just like Stan Lee says, enough said, Jew believers, Excelsior!
Alright, so, man, I worked for this company, so I should be able to pronounce this person's name, but help me out if I get it wrong, Mr. Allentown, okay? So, it's obvious that one of Joey's greatest passions is building Legos. But think about what kinds of skills you need to be really good at building Lego. Not only do the people who design these sets have to be innovative and imaginative, but the people who don't even go by the set have to be creative and inspired by little tiny pieces of plastic, by Lego bricks, which, as much as I love them, don't inspire me to build phenomenal things like Joey manages to build. So, Joey, I tried to design this award especially for you. I am proud to present you with the Old Kirk Christiansen Award for Creativity and Innovation. So our next presenter is Ms.
If you're presenting yourself with confidence, you can pull off pretty much anything, says Katy Perry. This quote shows that Katy Perry is supportive because she's encouraging you to have confidence in yourself. Right now, she is supporting kids' education by donating money to them. Plus, in most of her songs, she has messages in them. Like in Roar, she's telling you that you have the power to stick up for yourself. I'm supportive because once my friend Lizzie had a great hit in softball, but she got out on first base. I told her it didn't matter if she got out, at least she hit the ball. Katy Perry is also creative because she writes her own songs, she's a guitar player, and her outfits really stand out. I showed this trait because once at Twin Hills, I was with my friend Bridget, and we didn't have anything to do, so I made up a dive. Katy Perry might not seem like the best role model to some of you, but she is to me because I know her as a woman who is creative and supportive, just like me.
come up in Tessa's speech was how much our youngest learners in this school love her. At recess, they absolutely swarm her in flocks because of her kind and wonderful spirit. And I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone who knows her, that these little sweethearts are automatically attracted to her. So I am very proud to award her the Maria Montessori Award for the caring of young learners. All right, Jack Byrne, give me 1 minute to catch up to you, sir.
Have you ever heard of Shabazz Napier? I bet you haven't. Well, he is a pretty amazing guy. One story about Shabazz Napier is when he was a freshman at UConn. He was at his first practice. He was confident enough to start teaching the star player Kemba Walker shooting tips and passing tips. I am confident because in my basketball playoff game we were losing with a minute left. I got fouled and I stepped up to the line with the mindset that I was going to make the shots. And of course, I did make the shots. One quote Shabazz Napier said is, "Don't worry guys, we'll be the ones on top," to his teammates after they lost to lose by 12 points. This shows that he is a leader. I'm a leader because in another basketball playoff game, we were losing and my team started worrying. I told them to stop worrying, to focus on the game, and we will win. Like Shabazz Napier said to UConn, "Don't worry guys, we'll be the ones on top." Well, because I am a leader and I am confident I'll be the one on top.
Thank you, sir. All right. So I have another athlete up here, an exceptional athlete and student. And I had to think, with so many phenomenal athletes and wonderful kids in my class, oh my gosh, how many athletes could I possibly come up with? What, I already have Dustin Pedroia, I already have Mia Hamm. So I had to sit down and get thinking about someone who has all of the qualities that Mr. Jack Byrne has up here. He is energetic and enthusiastic about his learning, and he's a phenomenal friend and teammate. So I'm awarding you, Jack, the Bobby Orr Award for drive and determination. All right. Miss Leah Sabatini is our next speaker. She wants
I'm a talented and optimistic person like Gabby Douglas. Last year, my older sister Stephanie taught me how to play field hockey, a sport that I now love. I hit the ball really hard and it amazed my sister. I knew that I had to learn the rules to be good at it. I played 2 sports, field hockey and lacrosse. That shows that I am talented. Gabby Douglas is very talented because she won 2 gold medals in gymnastics in summer 2012 Olympics. To win gold medals, you have to train, work really hard, and love the sport. That shows that Gabby is talented. I am very optimistic because most of the time I am very happy. One time, me and my friend Bridget were playing with a hula hoop and it got stuck in a tree, but I had to leave in 5 minutes. I did not get upset or mad, but some people would. We laughed about it and we got it down. That shows that I am optimistic. Gabby Douglas is very optimistic because when she was younger, she got bullied because her skin color. She said, "I have a forgiving heart. I forgive them." And she always looks on the good side of things. That shows that Gabby is very optimistic. Gabby Douglas once said, "The hardest days are the best because that's when the champions are made." Like Gabby, I've had hard days, but I know one day that I will be a champion.
Sabatini is definitely one of my most optimistic students. She walks into my classroom every morning with a great big good morning and hello and a smile. And she works so hard, isn't that right? Works so hard, but always with a smile on her face. Are there many adults in this room who could say that they go to work and work hard with a smile on their face all day? I can, most of the time. So I wanted to find an award that shows how kind Leah is. And not only kind, but calm and composed, even when things are a little bit challenging for her. So I am absolutely honored and privileged to give Leah Sabatini the Abigail Adams Award for kindness and composure. This one is not going to be funny at all because it's Alex out. Yeah, come on. Come on.
Good morning. This 90 seconds is going to be about me and Jon Stewart and how we are both amazing, so don't expect me to be very modest. Just saying. Just warning you. A quote from him is, "I want to look back and know I was terrible at a variety of things." First of all, that shows he's human. Second of all, it shows that he's lighthearted about himself and he knows he isn't perfect. And third of all, he can talk about himself in a bad way. So yeah, I guess. I could say I am bold because not many people can claim they danced in front of 2 grades in the middle of lunch in the cafeteria. But I can claim that because I did. He's bold because when he speaks about politics, he doesn't hold anything back. Nothing. It all goes. Everything. Everything. Okay. And I could say I am energetic like him because last year I go to this drama class and when other people are sitting and listening to the teacher, I pace. I don't sit down, I pace. When I sit down, I get back up and pace. That's what I do. It's what I do. That's what I do. So when I look back, I know I have come so far and I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if I try, and trust me, I will, I can be as energetic, bold, and talented as Jon Stewart. And as you can see, I guess I'm already on my way.
Alright, so it was really funny, wasn't it? So Alex is one of those students who walks into the room and makes a joke immediately. Anyone he sits next to is kind of like, uh-oh, is this going to be too funny a pairing? Because his sense of humor is just too good. But it always works because not only is he funny, but he's also such a kind friend to everyone, I would agree. So, and this is kind of an older person, so I apologize if you don't know who he is. I was going to make a Jon Stewart, but I was too late. So I'm awarding Alex the Steve Martin Award for humor. Miss Siobhan Toole, it is your turn.
Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. Marie Curie said this once, and she is my role model. Marie Curie and I are both persevering. I've showed that I was persevering when one time the drama studio that I went to was holding auditions for winter shorts. Even though I was really sick at the time of the audition, I pulled through and I made sure I got there. I am also determined and ambitious. Last year in 4th grade, we had to make published books, and even though I thought it would be really hard, I was determined to finish. And I actually ended up finishing first in the class. Marie Curie is very independent. She's independent because once she got married, she still continued to do her job and she didn't ask anyone for help. Also, when her husband died, she had to take care of 2 children on herself. On her own. One day, I hope to accomplish great things and become a better person so that I can be someone's role model, like Marie Curie is mine.
Alright, so Siobhan Toole is one of those students in my room who, when she finishes her work, she always wants more. She always wants the next thing on the plate. So I was trying to figure out, okay, what kind of woman, what kind of wonderful person on our planet represents that same quality of independence? Marie Curie would have been a wonderful choice. But I am pleased to award Siobhan with the Amelia Earhart Award for Outstanding Academic Shayla Morford, here you go. One second to catch up.
Leonardo da Vinci once said, "Iron rusts from disuse, water loses purity from stagnation, even so does inaction sap the vigor of the mind." In my opinion, this quote sums up Leonardo da Vinci and also myself. Keep using what you've got now, or won't be able to use it later when you need it. In my free time, I've had multiple projects. I built these without specific directions using plywood, saws, and rope. I don't give up if it doesn't work the first time. This shows I'm determined. Leonardo da Vinci was a visionary. He was an innovative thinker. An example of this is that da Vinci was the only person in his times, the 1400s, who studied flight. He came up with an idea where there was a huge slingshot and a human was the projectile. He did not know if this worked, so he made a new one that flew on wings. He did not have the technologies to make these inventions at the time, but many of these worked when tested in the present. I like to find things out when I don't have the full answer. An example of this is that one time I was hiking in the woods and there was a 30-so-foot high rock wall. I knew it would be horribly hard to scale. However, I was curious to find out what the view would be like on top of the cliff. My dad agreed that this was something worth trying, so I did. At the top of the wall, I could see miles more than I could of the grounds, farms, streams, and rivers below. Not grounds. Art is never finished, only abandoned. I may not be an artist, but I can say dreams are never finished, only abandoned. I will persevere and work to keep them.
Alright, so as you can tell by the rock scaling story, Chandler is an outdoorsman. I can't think of a single time we did a morning share where part of his share wasn't something outdoorsy. And I'm very much an indoor girl, so it's always so fun for me to hear stories about things like that. Not only do you like being outdoors and hiking and building phenomenal things, but this year you also had the opportunity to read a lot of books by Gary Paulson and other authors who write in the adventure series. So I am so happy to be able to give Chandler the Gary Paulson Award for Exploration and Adventure in Learning and in Life. Fifth graders, I just want to give you a quick reminder. Any note cards or even awards can kind of be under your seat so they're not a distraction, so we're making sure we're really focusing on our speakers. All right, she's already ready. Megan Shea, you're our next presenter.
Have you ever heard of Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee was talented. He was an award-winning dancer, and he was in about 10 movies and several TV shows. I am talented because I won 2 gold medals at a Taekwondo championship, and I also play my flute. Bruce Lee was brave. He got hurt in movies, but he still went on with the movie, and he didn't stop. I am brave because during my first softball practice, my dad threw a ball at my nose and it started bleeding.
A quote by Bruce Lee is that mistakes are forgiven if one has the courage to admit them. This tells people to not lie and to always be honest. Bruce Lee was an amazing martial artist. I hope to be as good as him. It will be hard, but I will finish strong.
Shea, other than the fact that she sometimes gets accidentally injured when practicing. It happens to everyone. She is such a phenomenal citizen of this school and of our classroom. Every time I ask for a volunteer, and it's a big joke in our room because I could say for a volunteer, and it could be something horrible, but I would still have 10 kids' hands shooting up in the air every time. They don't even care what they're volunteering for. Megan Shays is always the first to go up, the first hand that I see. She is such a strong citizen. She's always helping other students. She's always helping me as a teacher. And so I am awarding her the Princess Diana Award for Excellence in Citizenship. It's your turn. Come on up. All right, give me a minute to catch up with you.
Ronald Reagan was the 40th president of these United States, and I can tell you it's a whole lot of other things too. He was a governor, a president, a movie star, a college football star, and when he was a lifeguard for a local pool, he was accounted for saving 70 lives. This shows that Ronald Reagan's very talented. Well, I am talented too. And this year in baseball, I wanted to try out for pitching, so I practiced with my dad for the first time, and I threw about 50 pitches, and probably around 45 of them were strikes. My season's over now, but when I was on the mound, I was on a roll. This shows that I'm very talented. Ronald Reagan once had a speech that was criticized as not so good. And he addressed to the public and admitted that it was not so good. And this shows that he can take responsibility for his mistakes. Well, so can I. Again in baseball, I'm the leadoff hitter for my team, and so I have to try and start a rally. In one game, I strike out on 4 pitches. For the next 5 minutes, I'm practically kicking myself on the bench, saying, I'm sorry, I'll make up for it to all my teammates. A lot of people forgave me on that day. Even though I did make up for it for striking out 9 batters in that game, it still shows that I can take responsibility for my mistakes. Ronald Reagan once said, life is one grand sweet song, so start the music. Well, my music is going to keep on playing, and for as long as that record spins, I'm going to work to accomplish great things. And I know I can, because like Ronald Reagan, I'm talented and I can take responsibility for my mistakes. So, let the music play on.
Phenomenal athlete, but surprisingly, that's not the first thing that came to my mind when I reflected on his time in my classroom this year. Matthew, what would you say your favorite school subject is? Oh, I would agree. I'm just going to say, never in my life have I been personally engaged in math. It was one of those subjects I was never good at. But anytime I called math to the rug, I could just hear a yes coming from somewhere in my room. Matthew would just grab all of his things and get right there. Not only is he enthusiastic about math, but he is a darn talented mathematician. So it comes as no surprise to me and anyone who truly knows him as a mathematician that I will be awarding him the Albert Einstein Award for excellence in mathematics.
I always say you can't spell my name without A++.
Oh my goodness. All right, next up is Miss Sydney Walbridge.
Living is easy with eyes closed, John Lennon once said. You might be wondering, why is John Lennon my role model? And I would say, John Lennon is my role model because he's intelligent, a leader, and a hard worker. Last year we had a basketball party, and I was the coach, and we were down a couple of points, and the parents were beating us. I told my team we'll beat them, I know we will, and with 5 seconds left on the clock, we beat them. That's how I showed I was a leader. I'm doing baseball next year, and I already started to practice with my dad in the street, and he helps me with a lot of stuff. That's how I show I'm a hard worker. John Lennon is intelligent because when he was 2 years old, his uncle would pull him onto his lap each night and teach him how to read. I'm a leader, intelligent, and a hard worker, just like John Lennon. And I want to be a singer like him when I grow up.
About Sydney every morning when she comes into my room is not only is she one of like the 5 fifth graders who still says good morning to me every morning, which is so important when you're a teacher, she always comes in with a smile on her face. Even if she's had a tough night or a tough day before, she starts her day thinking that it's going to be a great day no matter what. I definitely think that's true. And just like Leah said in her speech about Gabby Douglas, optimistic is definitely a word I would use to describe her. So even on my hardest days this year, which there were many, Sydney was an inspiration walking into my classroom. So I am awarding her the Rosa Parks Award for Inspirational Attitude. All right. Jacob Rice, it's your turn, sir. So one of the challenges with these posters where you needed a picture of your role model, but also of yourself, and some of these kids really took it upon themselves to make them resemble their role model. So take a peek while Jacob's sharing.
My ancestor, Robert Ward Shaw, was a kind and loyal guy. He also fought for what he thought was right. He was really kind because he would buy slaves in the South just to feed them in the North. I'm kind of like that. Last year, my sister Vivian got mad because she didn't want to go home. She threw a shoe right over a waterfall at the first pub, and I went underneath, and it got stuck underneath the bridge, and I went to get it. My mom told me not to get it because she did the little lesson, but I still went and got it. I'm also loyal. I am ready to do anything to help my friends. Like last year, I biked all by myself back to Center School to get my friend Santino's home. That is how I'm loyal to my friends. My ancestor, Robert Shaw, was also ready to charge right into battle just to save a civilian. He was loyal to the Union during the Civil War and loyal to the people he was fighting for. Robert Ward Shaw once said, in theory it might seem alright to some, but when it comes to being made the instrument of the Lord's vengeance, I myself don't like it. I like that quote because it means that everyone is equal and no one can change that. And I will make sure that I am going to live my life with it.
Other than him being just such a sweetheart this year in my class, it is that I swear, every time I wanted to transition, there was a book in his hand. Always a book hidden inside of his desk, secretly sneak reading while I was trying to teach him something. 16 books shoved in there in his side bin, 100 books in his book bin, and he was always heading straight to the library. He is not only a wonderful person, but quite the voracious reader. And so it is my absolute honor, privilege, and joy to award you with the Rick Riordan Award for Achievement in Literature.
Most of you know Paulina Edmonds as the Olympic figure skater from Sochi. I know Paulina, though, as someone who is confident, responsible, and has a positive attitude. I also know myself as someone who is confident, responsible, and positive. I show responsibility because every day I have at least one extra activity, like sports or something, and I always manage to do my homework, violin, and piano. Paulina shows she has a positive attitude because even though she couldn't march with the Olympians, she didn't get mad. Instead, she marched next to the TV. I showed confidence when, at the last minute, before I skated in a skating competition, my coach and I decided to add in a jump that I hadn't even practiced. But I was confident in myself that I'd be able to land it. After Paulina fell, trying to land a jump in Sochi, she said, "Of course I wish I landed it, but I look forward to nailing it at Worlds." This shows that she is confident in herself that she will be able to land it at the World Championships. At the end of the day, Paulina Edmonds is only 16 years old, okay? So when I'm 16, I may not be in the Olympics, but I know I'll be doing great things because just like Paulina Edmonds, I have a positive attitude, I'm confident, and I'm responsible.
Gifted skater, she is a wonderful student, and such a kind and funny friend. Honestly, it took me a month to realize how funny this girl standing next to me was. But something I noticed right away from her was her writing. There is something so phenomenal to me as someone who wasn't that great of a writer when I was growing up, for someone who has such natural talent for putting a pen to a piece of paper and producing something beautiful from beginning to end. Not only is that true in her reading letters and pieces that I've assigned, but for a time, Hannah was coming up to me asking me questions like, "Oh, what's a good name for a father character? Oh, how would you start a mystery, Miss Manna?" And I realized that she was actually beginning to think of a way to write a book. So I am more than pleased to award you the Emily Dickinson Award for Excellence in Conversation.
And take all the credit.
Hannah and Ainsley were partners in it.
Aww.
Alright, Mr. Edward Yerofeyev. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's going to happen every time, my friend. Come on up here, bud.
Oh, love it.
Blew my mind, Edward, when I saw it.
What do you do when you are creative, ambitious, and passionate? You become a person like Frank Lloyd Wright, my role model. The idea is my own and I have copied from no one, he once said. This shows his creativity because he never copies from anyone else, not even himself, from his other builds. I am also creative. I draw crazy creatures from other planets, like bubble creatures or walnut creatures, and I write crazy stories about magic and weird science. I am also ambitious. I set high goals in swimming, like I want to beat my times every time I swim. I also set goals in school. For example, I always want to get good grades, like over 90%. Frank Lloyd Wright was also ambitious because he challenged himself to build 1,000 buildings, and he designed that over 1,000 but only built 600. I am also passionate about everything I do. I am passionate about swimming because I always come to practices. I am passionate about music such as cello, clarinet, or guitar because I practice, and I also every week I come to have a lesson or a rehearsal. And I'm also passionate about writing and art because I do it in my free time. Frank Lloyd Wright was passionate about architecture because he did it in his free time. Someday I hope to be just as creative, ambitious, and passionate as Frank Lloyd Wright was. I am on my way.
hear this from Mrs. Giugio all the time. So shout out to Mrs. Giugio right into that camera. But she always comments on how wonderful Edward is at technology. And I'm pretty good at technology, but some things absolutely baffle me. And I know for a fact that in projects he's done in technology class and in projects he's done in my class, he has been able to help his peers. He has been able to go above and beyond the simple slideshow, which I think is like really cutting edge for some reason. So I am happy I will be awarding Edward the Steve Jobs Award for Excellence in Technology. Marie Toole, you are our next speaker. Come on.
I decided to devote my life to telling the story because I felt by having survived, I owe something to the dead. And anyone who does not remember them betrays them again. Elie Wiesel once said. But what does that mean? It means that he was grateful. Grateful to survive the Holocaust. I'm also grateful. My parents drive me to JAMA at least 6 times a week, and I thank them for taking the time out of their schedule and spending it on me. My parents also pay for 4 instruments that I play, and I thank them because I know that 4 instruments are pretty expensive. Elie Wiesel is also positive. He doesn't let what happened in his life stop him. I'm also positive. I have a lot of activities after school, and I try not to get upset when my friends invite me over and I can't hang out with them. Independent is definitely a trait that describes Elie Wiesel. Only one of his sisters survived the Holocaust, so he had to grow up on his own without his parents. I'm also independent. So one day my mom asked my sister Siobhan and I if we wanted to do this running clinic, and Siobhan said no, but I said yes, so I went, and I was a little bit nervous because that was the first time that Siobhan didn't do an activity with me, and I was nervous because I thought I wouldn't make a lot of friends, but I ended up making 6 friends on the first day, including my best friend Mia. Next year, I'm going to a new middle school. None of my friends from Center School are going there. I will have to be brave like Elie Wiesel was. Elie Wiesel did many amazing things, and one day I hope to be as smart, kind, and understanding as he was.
Alright, so how many musical instruments do you play again, Marie?
3, but
Oh, 3, but 4 is coming, right? 4 is on the horizon. So, I can't think, maybe Mondays and Fridays are my 2 days where I didn't have kids going to lessons. But I swear every other day of my week, Mairead was popping in and out my door, getting ready for another music lesson. She's in all of the groups at the school, orchestra, band, and chorus. She plays 3 or 4 instruments, and you know, I can honestly say by the way she talks, you can hear music in her voice, can't you? Even if she's not playing for you, you can really feel the music coming from within her. So, I'm awarding you, Mairead, the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart Award for Musical Excellence. And that's it. Just kidding. All right, Santino is our last speaker. Come on up.
Many of you know the light bulb is a symbol for an idea, but the light bulb reminds me of a person, Thomas Edison. Let me take you back a long time ago to Manna, Ohio, where Edison was a child. As a child, Edison was very curious. One time he even paid a person 25 cents to drink worms and eggs mixed up to see if that person would turn into a bird and fly. I'm curious too, yet not to that extremity. I like pestering my parents with questions and taking apart machines to see how they work. Before he finally finished creating light bulb, he tried 10,000 different ways to see different materials to see which one would light up best. And he said this: if you have exhausted all possibilities, remember this: you haven't. That to me says never give up and always stay determined on your dreams. I am determined too, yet again not to that extremity. For a Taekwondo tournament, once I trained 8 weeks, 6 days every day for each week, 2 hours each day, and 2 hours each day. The one thing that makes us different than others is our ambition though. We don't want to do little things here and there. We want to poke a hole through the science universe and change the world.
I can remember a conversation we had. One day we had learned about atoms, and atoms being the smallest thing the things that we have around us are made of. And then we were learning about plant and animal cells. And Santino said in a discussion, well, aren't plant and animal cells kind of like the living form of an atom? And I had, my brain doesn't make connections in that way. Every time he made a comment in science, and actually almost all subjects, he would elevate our conversation, bring something new to the table. And so it's no surprise to me, or probably his peers, that I am awarding Santino the Galileo Galilei Award for Excellence in Science and Inquiry. I know that it's been a very fun-filled hour. Can we give a round of applause for our fifth grade? Fifth grade, how much do you think we practiced? Did it pay off?
Yeah.
I definitely think so. So, as much as I would like you to send you on your merry ways, I do have final remarks. I apologize, I practiced this now 3 times and I cried every time. So I'm going to hold it together though, right? There are tissues by the door if you feel so moved to cry as well. Just so you know. Thank you, Joey. Every time I do a read aloud and I warn my students I'm going to cry, there's kids who go and grab tissues too. It's just an amazing thing. So this fall, we read a book called Wonder by R.J. Palacio. It's about a boy named August Pullman who was born with a severe facial deformity. He goes to school for the first time as a 5th grader. He is faced with many challenges, including bullying and isolation. One of his teachers, Mr. Brown, gives students the following quote one day: "When given the choice between doing what is right and what is kind, choose kind." It is my wish that your children go out into this world with this precept guiding them. With this precept and all of their remarkable qualities which they shared with us today, I can guarantee that each and every student will one day be a role model for someone else, the way these men and women are role models for them today. And let me tell you, your children are well on their way. So congratulations, and thank you so much for your children. Started a little early too. So the next part of our ceremony is going to take place on the green at around 11:30. But before you move, I am going to make you guys work just a little bit. I'm so sorry. We are very short on chairs. So I'm going to ask the students, just leave your note cards and your awards under your chairs and you can come grab them. We'll leave your chairs here. But if parents and even students can help them, bring out a chair to the green. We're going to stack them because Mrs. Quinn's class is currently having the same ceremony we had. And if you'll follow me out there, I'll show you where we're going to stack them. Does that seem okay? Thank you so, so much. I'm going to grab one too.